Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And my head hurts. I mean, that's not new news, but I don't know, it especially hurts right now. I know this is just like, feel sorry for me right now. I did take a nap. So it's one of those episodes. And um today we had a showing for our house, which is amazing. And so we got to leave, my husband and I, with our two dogs. We left and went over to the um park, the state park, national park. I don't know. That's near my house, and there's a river and stuff. So we walked over there. Well, let's start over. We drove over there, and I let Autumn off the leash, and she freaking ran to her heart's content. It was so adorable. It was so adorable. There were scents everywhere, and she just sniffed and sniffed and sniffed and just ran. It was so awesome. And then Boris, he just panted and panted and panted. And but don't worry, it was nice and cool outside. It was just very stimulating for him. He gets very excited and he just pants and pants and pants. So we did that, and then we went and picked up some um Taco Bell, and I had a Mexican pizza and some soft tacos. So, can you imagine? It was the best day of our lives today. It's the little things that make me happy. And I spent the morning cleaning, so I was a little exhausted. So, sorry. It is what it is. The topic for today is navigating drinking environments in recovery. And when the topic came up this morning, I was thinking drinking environments, like every environment was a drinking environment. I drank everywhere at all times of the day. Like towards the end of my drinking, I never did not have alcohol in my body. And I was thinking about like what it was like to do all of my firsts, go to my first happy hour without a drink, go to my first company holiday picnic without a drink. And it was a lot of like getting comfortable in my own skin. I didn't know what to do with my hands. That was a big, the movie Talladega Nights. I think that's what it's called, with Will Ferrell. There's a scene where he's being interviewed, and while he's talking, like his hands keep coming up into the camera and he's just holding them really awkwardly. And he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. And they're like, just put them down by your side. And every time he starts talking, like they come back up into the camera. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like when I first stopped drinking and going to things. I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands. And it feels awkward. And since I felt awkward on the inside, I felt like I looked awkward on the outside. But oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But I don't think I did. It was probably apparent that I felt uncomfortable, but over time, I got used to not having anything to do with my hands, Like I used to always have a drink in one hand and a cigarette in the other hand. That was like my thing, like back in college, high school, like I always had, so I didn't have to worry about what to do with my hands. When I stopped drinking, it was like, well, I could put a glass in my hand and just have it filled with Coca Cola or something like that. But it was just different. It felt weird. So that was very challenging for me. That's the easy stuff. The easy stuff was figuring out like, what do I do with my body? Isn't that weird? But it's true. I didn't know what to do with all of my parts. Um, and it really, when I was thinking about it this morning, I thought it wasn't even going to events that felt awkward. It was like sitting in front of the TV felt awkward. I just simply, like when I was drinking, I always had that glass of wine in my hand. I never sat it down. It wasn't like I had a table beside me and I would put it down and, watch my TV or something and then pick up the drink or have like some Doritos or something and pick up the drink. I didn't eat anything and I never put the drink down. And so sitting in front of the TV is like for a while I sat there without anything in my hand and I felt so fidgety and irritated. And then I thought, well, I just need to figure out a drink that is, not terrible for me, like having a Coca Cola, having like 25 Cokes at night, but something that's healthy and tasty. So I tried different things. What I landed on was a sparkling water with strawberry lemonade inside in it. Which I've talked about before. It's my spritzer. I call it my spritzer. And I used to get so excited. I still do when I'm like, it's spritzer time. And the family would kind of laugh at me, but they encouraged me, it was a growing experience for sure. So it wasn't just going to different occasions where drinking was typically the central activity that made me uncomfortable. It was everyday life. It was everything. I was uncomfortable in everything. But if I was to focus on the different occasions that I needed to start figuring out how to attend without drinking, one of the things that ran through my mind was when I'm going to something, what is the main focus of the event? So I had to do a lot of like checking in with myself and what are my intentions and what are the intentions of others as much as I can presume what other people are going for. So, for example, like a company um, holiday party, the main focus is socializing, at least in my company picnic. I'm sorry, company holiday party. Sorry, words are hard. Um, at mine, the focus was socializing outside of work. And there was drinking, but it wasn't the main focus. I thought it was the first time I went. I'm like, well, everybody's main focus at every event is drinking because I thought so, because that's what mine always was. But when I got out of my comfort zone and I went and felt what it's like, I noticed I wasn't the only one not drinking. And then there are other things like Thanksgiving or different holidays. What is the main focus for friends and family to get together? A lot of times it's eating. And I thought once again that it was drinking, but it wasn't. And I only learned that by getting uncomfortable and trying it. Um, and in some cases, I feel like I really needed to, if it makes sense, like normalize that discomfort. I had to do it enough that it wasn't uncomfortable anymore, you know? It took some diligence to go and practice. I think everything in sobriety has taken trying it out and practicing it, repeatability, you know? So that first layer of the challenge was, what do I look like? You know, what is my image? And I hate it when I think back to that mattered that much to me. You know, that came up yesterday when I was talking about how I felt silly and uncomfortable going to public indoor places with these dark protective glasses on. I was afraid that people would wonder why I had these glasses on. And I didn't want to make a spectacle of myself, like, oh, she must have a disability. Um, but I cared, and I don't know why I cared, but I did. And that's what it was like when I first stopped drinking as well, was I felt odd, like I felt exposed. I didn't like to say I don't drink because I was afraid people would think that I was dull. You know, I was a fuddy-duddy if I didn't drink. Um, but two things. Why does it matter what other people think? And two, if somebody thinks I'm dull because of that, then I don't really want to be friends with them. But that's the thing. Back then, that's who I wanted to be friends with. I wanted to be friends with people who enjoyed drinking, who thought it was fun to drink, and I wanted to be friends with people whose focus was drinking. So I needed to change my friends. Um, and there was a lot of anxiety that had to go with that. There was a lot of tools that I learned in the program over time that I didn't know were a thing because I always drank. And one would be going to like a holiday party or some place where you going out to dinner even with people. Uh, you can just turn your wine glass upside down, and it is an indication worldwide. I didn't know this is an indication that you don't want to drink alcohol, that you don't want anybody to put any alcohol in your glass, and they'll actually come around and take your glass for you. Um, and I didn't do that for a long time, but eventually I did start turning my glass over and they would come by and pick it up. Um, I also practice lots of different ways of saying that I don't drink, and they were all about what are people going to think of me. I didn't want to say I don't drink for a long time, and I don't know if I have stopped saying it or not. I haven't really had anybody ask me in a long time, but I used to say I don't drink anymore. I used to like it way too much. That's what I would say. And it's because it's like I wanted people to know that, well, I used to drink, you know, I'm not cool. It's just, it's silly to say out loud, but that's what I need to do. I need to say it out loud. Um, so I do think it's important, like ahead of an occasion like that, to practice some responses to see what fits, like see what feels good when you say it. After time, it just becomes second nature and it's not so stressful to have to, um, I don't know, be different, you know? So then that was like the image layer. And then what happened on the inside when I'm going to these different events and I'm not drinking for me was really wrapped around jealousy. That was that was what I felt. It was once I got past the initial, I'm not drinking. Can I get you a drink? No, thank you. I don't drink. I liked it way too much. That's what I said. Um, then once the evening went on, it was just jealousy at that point. It was like, why can't I be like them? Look, they're having so much fun. Oh, look, she's getting tipsy. I wish I could feel tipsy. And there was it didn't really matter what they did that would spark that envy. But what that was a symptom of my alcoholism. And I didn't see it at that. I saw it as more like a that's why I don't measure up. That's why I'm not good enough. My default about my self-image was always, well, this is why I'm less than. And really it's a symptom of my alcoholism to feel that stuff, to feel that craving and the jealousy and rating my value by what other people get to do and I can't. Does that sound familiar? It says to me. It sounds like the same thing that I dealt with in stroke recovery with my disability. Started feeling sorry for myself and rating my value based on what other people can do and what I can't. And I'm getting through that. It's it's really, I think, a piece of my depression is feeling sorry for myself. I've always got that. I've always got that in me, and I take medication for it. Um, but I've always got it in me, and things like sitting here and talking about it, that's what helps it. When I say that, when I say, oh, well, I'm less valuable because I can't do the things that everybody else can do, that sounds silly. Um, but once I say it out loud, then I can start facing that discomfort that I feel in my own skin sometimes. Um, Learning that I don't need alcohol to feel comfortable was a process. I had to go through that discomfort over and over and over again and practice honesty, practice talking about what it feels like to my sponsor. And over time, learning what my boundaries were and learning how to accept myself as for who I am, for who I am. I'm somebody with a disease that is not curable. And now I have two. Two, well, it's not a disease, it's a disability that's not curable. And because of these health matters, I need to draw strict boundaries around myself. And that comes to play when again I'm doing a little self-evaluation and I'm like, what is my intention for going to this thing? Is it because I want to be in a situation where I might be able to quietly sneak a drink? I mean, that's what it was like in the beginning. I was afraid of myself. I was afraid. I couldn't even trust myself. Um, and in the same way, like with my vestibular disability, it's knowing what my boundaries are, knowing that I was thinking the other day about signing up for this yearly 5K that is affiliated with a friend in my neighborhood who lost her son to suicide. And I did it last year. For those of you who are longtime listeners, I signed up for the 5K and I brought I brought my stuff about the podcast, and like just put it out on the table, and I gave a donation of like $100, and then I showed up with my sister. I'm pretty sure my sister came, and my sponsee at the time, and my coworker slash sponsee's daughter. And they walked the whole 5K, and I walked 1 mile. And that was a big accomplishment for me. And I was very, very symptomatic after that. But um, it was a part of my acceptance, my boundaries, that kind of thing. And being a part of, like yesterday I was talking about connection. It was really good. So anyway, I was thinking about doing it, and for a moment I was like, why can't I just do the 5K? Like for an instant I was feeling a little envious, I think, of other people who can. It's such a simple thing to walk a 5K. To me, it seems like a simple thing because I used to run it, and but I recognized in an instant what I was doing, and I was like, no, you have a disability, and it does not allow you to do that. Um, Side note, I was talking to my psychiatrist this morning and told her that twice this week I walked 1.75 miles, which is a huge accomplishment. So I walked an additional quarter of a mile. And one of those times I did it with my rucksack, and one of the times I didn't. So that's big. That's huge. Like I keep making progress in my own life. So back to the topic. Uh, One of the important things about being in these different environments and occasions of drinking, it's important to know when to leave. And like I was talking about how knowing what your own intention is and what other people's intention is for going, that intention, what I've noticed, shifts throughout the night. So even after like 1 hour of being at a corporate happy hour, the focus shifts from socializing to eating to drinking. And typically, the later you stay, the more the focus shifts to drinking. And so I am hyper aware of that. And that's part of honoring my limits. It's a wisdom and not weakness to know when to leave. And being strong enough to just walk away, to be like, that's it. The focus has shifted. That's my sign to leave. Um, and then also celebrating those alternatives that I discovered after quitting drinking. Like Coca Cola is the best thing on the planet. And I had a Coca Cola today. It's downstairs waiting for me with my Taco Bell. So I allow myself to have I don't have Coca Cola all the time because it takes away the specialness of it. So I let these occasions that come up be a time where I get to have a Coke. And then, um, and then I also practice not having anything in my hand, you know? I've talked about it before where I just stand there at one of these things and I would just look at everybody else and see what are they doing with their hands. That sounds silly. Like it was a big deal for me to know what to do with my hands and to get comfortable in my own skin without using alcohol as a crutch. And I needed to stay vigilant in drinking environments, and just like we do when we're training for anything that other people know how to do a little better than us, just look around. Just look around and see how is everybody else doing it. And over time I started to get comfortable. I'm still not comfortable getting on the dance floor, but honestly, even when I was drinking, I wasn't comfortable on the dance floor. So now it's just super awkward. I have to tell you, I went to a wedding it was my son's best friend's wedding. And so I wasn't drinking, obviously. This was just a couple years ago. And the mother of the groom, my friend, she was like, you have to get on the dance floor with me. She was trying to get people to get on the dance floor. And back when I was drinking, this is something that I would just do. I would be somebody who just threw, you know, all cares to the wind and just got out there on the dance floor. But I was like, you don't want me to do that. I was like panicking. You do not want me to get on the dance floor. And so she was like, come on. And I felt like I had to because it was the mother of the groom. So I got out on the dance floor and I tell you, like, I felt so awkward and it was obvious. She, at one point, turned around and looked at me and I almost saw the horror in her face that I was like, just have no rhythm and I did not belong out there on the dance floor. And I was thinking, I tried to warn her. I tried to warn her. Yeah, it was awkward. It was awkward, I think, for me, and I think it was awkward for anybody who was looking at my body trying to move like that. I just cannot. Some things I will never be able to do, no matter whether I'm drinking or not drinking. But I can tell you that I feel a lot stronger. I feel a lot less intimidated by things that I used to do drinking. I can do them now not drinking. And if she wanted me to get on the dance floor, then that's what I did. I did it for her. And I think that maybe next time nobody will ask me to get on the dance floor. I felt like Elaine from Seinfeld. That was totally me. And I couldn't wait to get off the dance floor. Um, anyway, it's a work in progress. I think after 9 years, I'm still learning how to live life sober. I'm learning how to do things that I'm learning how to do things. My mind just went blank without a drink. Yeah, I think that's all I have. I don't know. My mind just totally went blank. That's what it's like to have a stroke, Autumn. Things just disappear from your brain and they don't come back. Yeah, she gets it. She gets it. So that's all I have. And sorry for the awkward ending, but that's what happens here. And I will talk to you tomorrow.